Hey everybody, and welcome to the first episode of...
Well, it's technically the second episode.
Technically the second episode of the Marvelous Podcast. That's right. It is your host, JD and XTina, coming to you on the podcast right now. First off, we hope you're doing well.
Yes, we do hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
And for those of you that have already tuned into our very first episode, thank you very much.
And now, what is this episode about, babe?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. That's right. We have been reviewing all the Marvel movies from in order. And we've already watched all of them, but we're watching them again because they're that good.
They're that good.
And we just rewatched the first one, and we're doing a review on it. So
we're going in phase order.
Yes, in order of the phases.
In phase order, that means Iron Man is number 1.
That's right.
All right?
That's right.
So JD, would you please kick it off with a description or reading the synopsis of the movie? Let's go.
All right, cool. Well, I'm just taking a quick reading right. You can't fall asleep on Iron Man.
Okay, go.
Synopsis. Here we go. Iron Man. It was made in 2008. All right. It's based on the Marvel Comics superhero
It's based on the Marvel Comic. We're doing great so far.
Diction, JD. Let's go. Listen, this is the first installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the first film of Phase 1. The film was released on April 30th, 2008. Internationally, and on May 2nd in 2008 in the United States. The film is
yada. The film is directed by
John Favreau.
I can't read it.
And stars Robert Downey Jr.
as Tony Stark, Iron Man, which he creates that whole persona.
Terrence Howard
at the very end.
made an appearance as Terrence Howard made an appearance as James Rhodes.
Oh,
now
Terrence Howard.
Oh man, he did great.
Claps all around.
And yes, claps all around for him. He did great in this movie, but then there was some stuff that happened which didn't allow him to get in the other movies.
Which we don't know.
I think it was an issue of money, which we'll save for
It doesn't
episode.
Matter.
It doesn't matter.
And
then Jeff Bridges was Obadiah. He was we'll just call him the bad guy.
It was kind of nice seeing Jeff Bridges as a bad guy, as a villain.
It was nice, but it was also weird.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
I wanted him to roll up to the bar and grab that.
Yeah, I was expecting. Actually, you know what? He did grab a glass of whiskey.
Of course he did. Isn't he the whiskey guy? Do you guys remember that commercial where he's the whiskey guy?
I vividly remember that. And then also we have a couple other characters in here.
Vaguely?
Vaguely, yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Anyway.
We got Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, where S.H.I.E.L.D. was first introduced, and Gwyneth Paltrow as none other than Pepper Potts.
Miss Pepper Potts.
Miss Pepper Potts.
All right.
If your name is Pepper Potts, you are one of the cool kids. Hands down. Come on, Pepper Potts,
okay,
you can't go wrong on that.
Rewind. Let's go to the very beginning of the film.
All right, first start of the film. So hold on. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I have watched these movies God knows how many times. But this person right here, XTina.
This person.
AKA my future wife. This is her first time kind of diving into this world. Mm-hmm. So after watching the movies through once, she's watched the movie for a second time, and we're just kind of going off of her response, and I'll chime in as well. So, honey,
so the truth of the matter is, I have become a huge Marvel fan,
mm-hmm.
and I do not think I'm going to start this entire thing by saying I do not think the Iron Man, the first one, is an accurate representative of the Marvel series because it actually gets so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about Iron Man. So in the beginning, just kind of a brief overview of the entire storyline. So Tony Stark, he's in Afghanistan, which I find incredibly ironic with everything going on right now in Afghanistan. Okay, here's the conspiracy theorist in me. Marvel does a great job of tying in relevant things that are happening in our world into the comic and the storyline in the series. So it's very interesting that Tony Stark is on his way into this area in Afghanistan to present this Jericho missile, which, do y'all know what Jericho means? I looked it up because I wanted to be sure you knew what it meant. Jericho is one of the oldest cities in the world in the Middle East. One of them. So it's very interesting that he's going into that area, into one of the oldest areas where human civilization kind of was, you know, in that area with, Mesopotamia.
Tony Stark is dropping a bomb.
In the oldest name, but it's named Jericho.
After one of their oldest cities.
That's weird. Ironic, or is it?
So they're traveling, and you wish you had a beard?
I mean, not really.
You've got a beard right here. Here. Just you can use this.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4 gray hairs. That's for me. Okay, so anyways, the Jericho missile. So essentially, Tony Stark is this billionaire, arrogant
tech genius.
Jerko.
He's not a jerk. He's very forward.
Very appropriate for Robert Downey Jr. And anyway, so he is an engineer genius, essentially, who creates a lot of this wartime weaponry.
Yes. Now, circle back to the story here. They're traveling in the convoy, which gets hit by.
Yeah, because he's being a smartass. I was kind of glad that he got hit.
Okay, well, that was definitely like a crazy moment, and then like they get hit. There's a firefight.
It's very ironic.
Things happen. He runs over to like a couple of rocks, and he tries to hide, and all of a sudden a missile pops in, and the missile itself has his brand's name on it.
But it's not just the missile, it's all of the ammunition.
All the weapons are his, and they're getting used against the one guy that created them.
Kind of ironic, huh? United States?
He gets kidnapped. My little conspiracy theorist right here. I love her.
Although that's true.
I love her for it.
So anyways, he gets kidnapped. He wakes up in a cave.
And he has
No, not yet. He wakes up in a cave. No, he does. He wakes up in a cave.
Right.
And he's looking at this scientist who is working on him. And he looks down and he realizes that the scientist, whose name is Jensen, which is kind of like my name. In Denmark, my last name is Jensen, but it's pronounced Jensen. So that freaked me out. Anyway, so the scientist's name is Jensen, and he's creating this arc reactor, which looks like the atom splitter in Norway, by the way, and probably every nuclear reactor.
Yes, rewind really quickly. So Jensen wasn't creating the arc reactor. He hooked Stark up to a car battery,
right,
which then used the battery itself as like a way to pull the shrapnel away from his heart. Then that spawned the idea for Tony Stark to create a mini arc reactor for him to act as a battery so that he can move freely without holding a car battery. I think I got that right.
Yeah, which is kind of like a device that people use right now in their hearts.
Yeah, could you imagine? Just people with like a battery right here and like.
Well, that's like.
I'm gonna ride my Tesla. Excuse me while I plug in.
That's the. that is like the the sci-fi version, but the real life version. People all the time have things put into their heart, into your well, I don't know about other organs, but definitely into your heart to make it pump.
Yeah.
So
we're slowly evolving into machines, basically. We
already are.
We already are. So okay,
Anyways, Jensen helps save his life, and the one part that broke my heart about Jensen was that he had said in the film, his character said in the film that his family is waiting for him, so he was planning on dying this whole time.
Yeah, and then there was just like a nostalgic moment. So,
anyway.
Cool moment. I want to highlight this as a really cool moment because this was like the first like creation part of Iron Man, and he like wrote it. He sketched it all out on multiple sheets of paper, and you laid them on top of one another.
Wait.
And it
Rewind. The Afghan people, or the people that had kidnapped him, essentially said, "You are the creator of the Jericho. Now you have to make it for us." Okay. So then, as they're making it, hi, it's Eddie.
Oh, Eddie, what's up?
Eddie, you're gonna like this.
They were the enemy soldiers were known as the 10 rings.
Oh, that's right, the 10 rings.
The 10 rings, and their leader was named Raza.
Ooh, interesting. Which the actor that played Raza was very,
He was
very brilliant.
And brilliant.
Anyways,
I'm going more for creepy.
They created. They said that they want him to build the Jericho.
Yes.
Right. And as the engineer, the mastermind behind this bomb, this missile, he starts with Jensen creating this bomb, which is in reality the very first Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
The escape.
Yes.
Right.
And so they were already planning right away from the get-go to get out of
I
there.
said gecko, not Geico.
So they build it, and
Right.
just the process and how they did it and all that, it's so cool. And there's just such like you just get to see like this different mechanic come out of Tony Stark. I'm geeking out on it. That's why. So,
Okay.
so
then he creates the plans, the blueprints, essentially for the very first Iron Man suit.
yes, Tony Stark escapes. Jensen unfortunately doesn't make it out, and Terrence Howard comes to save him.
But this is a pivotal moment because here's what they did. This is so brilliant. They set up a bomb on the outside at the door. And then when they caught on to the fact that this was not the Jericho, that this was something entirely different, the bomb goes off. Unfortunately, Jensen ends up getting caught in the crossfire.
Right.
Tony Stark runs outside of the cave and does some crazy shit.
He flamethrowers everything.
He flamethrower. He flamethrower or throws?
Flamethrowers.
And essentially
We got an
blows
Instagram
up
live going. Is it
all-
flame? I'm flamethrowing. Flamethrowers. He
Flamethrower.
flamethrower.
It doesn't matter.
Everything.
he blew up everything. But that was another pivotal moment in the movie because they, of course, highlight the fact that all of the ammunition, all of the guns, all of the missiles, all of whatever is all Stark Enterprise product. Interesting. Kind of similar to what's going on right now.
Someone in the company is dealing under the table. Who exactly? And that's the cool part that happens next. Is Tony gets saved. He gets back to America.
So he's running through. Remember, he's all wrapped up.
Oh yeah, he was in the desert.
All wrapped up.
Yeah, he was in the desert.
He's all wrapped up. He's running through the desert, and then
And
all
then
of a sudden,
Terrence Howard comes and saves him.
How the heck did they even know?
I know.
That's one of the parts of the movie where I'm like, okay, whatever.
Like all of a sudden, it just so happened to be it was Terrence Howard. It was like, found you.
Oh, with his green eyes. Oh.
But then again, there was a lot of explosions that did happen there. So maybe they saw it and was like, hey, we need to check around that area. Maybe Tony's over there.
And then Tony says he's hungry.
And so he said I need
So
one of
Brad
two
Pitt
things.
fan. Brad Pitt in all of his movies, he's always eating.
So he said, I need one of two things. I need a cheeseburger and I need a press conference. Or I need an American cheeseburger. There we go. So press conference.
Press conference happens. And
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Well, Tony Stark announces that he no longer wants to make weapons for the enemy.
And everybody loses it. Sorry, that was loud.
Especially Jeff Bridges. What's his character's name again?
Obadiah. What a name for Jeff Bridges too. So fitting. And actually also when Jeff Bridges gets into his own suit, he's known as Ironmonger. It's a cool name. I feel like if I was a villain and I was saying like, what's your name? It'd be like, Rattlesnake. You would just laugh at me. And I would just give up being a villain.
So then Tony Stark goes into his man cave, right? And he starts perfecting what he
what he had concocted. Yes.
Now here's where I'm going to get nitty gritty.
Go for it, honey.
There have been sightings in Ohio, in Chicago, in the Midwest, in the desert of unidentified flying objects, sometimes looking like humans. It is very ironic. I think my thing is how Marvel ties in all of these relevant events of things. People have been preaching for at least the last 10 years that they think they see humans flying, which we now know in 2021 that the military has created these iron suits that are very similar in nature to The Iron Man suit.
For all we know, babe, it's probably Richard Branson. Because
Robert Bigelow.
no, Richard Branson from SpaceX.
Robert Bigelow.
Or
was one of
Robert.
the very
but-
was one of the very first to be a private sector.
Yes.
Duder.
She knows this more than I do.
Private sector duder to research life out in outer space and create ways for us humans to get out there and all that stuff.
But wasn't once Virgin Galactic went
Robert
up into
Bigelow did it
space?
first.
Yes, but didn't him and his kids like play around in like their own little makeshift saucer above Europe?
Oh yes, this is
Yeah,
very
that's
true.
what I was trying to
This is
say.
very
I was
true.
like, it's probably
Yeah, but
Richard
I'm not
Branson
talking-
in the suit.
No, he's the saucer dude.
He's
Now
the
we know
saucer
that
dude.
he's the saucer dude.
He's a saucer.
But my
Not a-
point
not a
is,
suit.
we know very, very much so at Patterson Airfield in Dayton, Ohio, or I think it's Dayton, Ohio, that the military has been working on these suits that are very similar, and they basically, the suits are made of iron, but they can they have jetpacks. Now people on vacation are putting on jetpacks of all different kinds of
Seeing like
genres.
wind tunnel jetpacks.
There's now the jetpack thing is
Water-powered
real, but in
jetpacks.
2008, when this movie came out, it was not mainstream.
Yeah, it wasn't common.
It was literally just,
Yeah.
people kind of hoped it existed.
Rewind. Let's head back to Iron Man.
Yes.
So, press conference.
The press
He announced that
conference.
he was discontinuing his weapons, thus leading to him getting back into the shop, building his first
Iron Man.
piece, or
suit.
at least Iron Man Volume 2, version 2.
And this is when he took it from gold to red,
Yes.
which I thought the gold suit was way cooler, but that's just
Red,
me.
red with hints of gold. I thought that's what it was. Yeah, red with hints of gold.
Yeah, but the first suit that he designed, and then he went up. Remember, he goes up into space.
Yep,
He's
yeah.
flying up into the upper atmosphere. His suit catches.
Experiences
Catches cold.
catches cold.
It freezes.
They call it icing.
It ices. Then he shoots back down, and he's apparently okay, which just blows my mind.
Yeah, he was
But
able to get out of that.
He ruins the suit as he lands. So then he does it again.
Yeah.
So he makes
Yes.
another one, and this is the one that has the red.
So, going off of that, he made his suit. Now he's wanting to test it. He ended up going out over to Afghanistan again to
rest.
To actually, he saw on the news that what was it again? The 10 rings.
The
10 rings were causing some trouble again
With his.
with his stuff
Mm-hmm.
because apparently some photos came up. So he goes out there and he like shows off the suit, and then after kicking some butt, he takes off and all of a sudden starts getting attacked by 2 American fighter jets. And then that's happening. There's like this big like
The undercurrent at this time, though, while he's in his basement making these suits, Jeff Bridges is running the company and undermines his orders or his wishes and continues to sell
under the
weaponry to
The enemy.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think
Yes.
of
I was like-
the word enemy. Whatever. So he sells it to the enemy. He was doing that, without their
Consent.
knowing consent.
So that was going on. He has a moment with the American jets and gets to show off. He comes back to his own home. Guess who finds him getting unsuited? Pepper Potts. And she's like, what are you doing?
Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts. I have to say her full name.
Pepper Potts.
All right?
Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts. Or Ms. Potts. Ms.
Yeah.
Potts is cool.
No.
Ms. Potts.
Anyway, so Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts.
Then he has a party, and is this when he mooches her?
No, that was before he goes over to Afghanistan a second time because, sorry, we missed that. Because there was a party that he wasn't invited to.
Oh, that's right.
He shows up,
I wouldn't have
dances
invited
with
you.
Pepper Potts, has a moment, and they're like, hey,
And she's like, oh, but you work for me, And he's like, who cares? But he's such a playboy.
let me buy
doesn't
you a
matter.
drink, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And he goes to get her a drink, but then all of a sudden, distractions happen. And that's when the photos rise up. And then that happens. After that, though, so
He goes overseas,
comes back, taking off the suit. We then get into this next part where he knows that Obadiah is doing this. So he needs more dirt on Obadiah. So what he has Miss Potts do is go into his office, bring a USB drive, and copy all the files. Now this is where Jeff Bridges gets to have his glass of whiskey. Only because Tony Stark had the finest whiskey in his office.
And at one point, Nash Bridges. Jeff Bridges brings pizza back from New York because he was at a meeting in New York, and I just want to bring this point and drive it home for all my New York family. They had Ray's Pizza. Now, if you are a New Yorker, have you ever had Ray's Pizza? It's phenomenal.
I don't know if I've had Ray's Pizza before. Oh, careful. Okay, some things should not be said. Maybe that was one of them.
Chicago boy.
I love Chicago pizza.
It's not the
but
same
I also
as
like New York pizza. New York
York
pizza is great with the thin crust. Chicago pizza's got the deep dish.
Okay, good. So anyways, I do appreciate the relevancy in how they picked the Ray's Pizza. It's a classic here in New York City.
Yes.
Solid choice. And artichoke is another solid choice. Domino's. We order Domino's quite a bit. Anyways.
Got to transition over to Ann Pizza. So yes, and also I wanted to actually mention Phil Coulson, how he's been kind of like sprinkling himself into this whole spiel, which means him representing S.H.I.E.L.D., it's the first time they're trying to...
So if you're not familiar with this character, he is the very start of bringing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into the movies, which I was surprised because when I very first watched Iron Man, I didn't know the correlation. So if you have not seen the rest of the movies, this would definitely be one that you should check in and tune into. Watch the series and it'll make more sense when you watch it back. But he is in the very, 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 very first movie in the phase where he talks about being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he comes in at the very beginning of the film asking for an interview. And little do we know, he starts infiltrating and saying, I need an interview. I want time to sit down and talk with you, And it kind of gets pushed off, but he's like, sprinkled into the movie here.
Yeah, and he
cool.
happened to be there for Miss Potts at the right time as well. So real quick, S.H.I.E.L.D., we gotta tell everybody what it stands for. It's
SHIELD.
It's the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. Whew! What a thing to repeat to people.
Wait, say it again. Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. I didn't think he was going to make it through
that. Yes. So that was happening. And it was really cool how Phil Coulson got sprinkled into all of this. So Obadiah realizes something's going on after Miss Potts has copied files from Tony Stark's computer. And he's like...
this is probably where I fell asleep in the movie.
What am I going to do?
Again.
Tony, what am I going to do?
And then he starts creating his own...
He actually went to the dealer, Raza, from the 10 Rings, and saw what they had taken, and that was the old suit that they had taken from
the desert that fell apart.
That fell apart from Iron. So Iron Man version 1. He took that suit, he brought it back and made it bigger. So
literally bigger.
Tony Stark Enterprises, he had them making a full suit with his requests attached to it. And the one thing that they needed though was a power source. And his scientist, Obadiah's scientist, didn't know how to do it. So he decided,
we forgot a big part. We didn't even talk about how Tony Stark created his own...
Oh my gosh, it's like the reason why we even did this.
His own arc reactor. When he first came back, he engineered his very own arc reactor so he wouldn't have to carry around the battery. So that's why you see in all of the Iron Mans the light up thing on his chest, because that was a device that Tony Stark engineered to continually magnetically pull the shrapnel away from his heart.
Exactly. Which also ended up powering the suit that he would put himself into.
Right.
2 for 1 right there. That's pretty awesome how he thought of that. But didn't think of it at the same time. So anyway, Obadiah's looking for that thing now. He realizes what he needs to build the perfect suit. So he finds Tony Stark, all right, at his own home. And he has this like weird thing where he like turns it on and it goes and right next to your ear, and you go like this, and you can't move. I forget the name of it. And then he takes the arc reactor out, leaves him there. There's like no hard feelings, Tony.
And Tony starts to die.
Yeah, Tony starts to die.
But it just so happens that Ms. Pepper Potts has given Tony a gift because she's falling in love with him, and it happens to be his very first arc reactor, the version of what he had first made, which was not as strong.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave it back to him. She's like, don't you want to keep it? And he said no, and then she gave it to him as a gift, saying, proof that Tony Stark has a heart. So he has it sitting in a box in his office. Thank God, because as he's dying on the floor, he reaches up into the box, grabs his old arc reactor, puts it back into his chest, and that is how he is
able
rejuvenated.
Yes, and he's able to get on a suit. He's not able to operate at full power, so already our hero is in trouble. I love Iron Man, all right? I can't help it. He goes over to the Tony Stark Enterprises workplace, because that's where Obadiah is, and that's where Miss Potts is, with the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who are going to arrest Obadiah. And little do they know, Obadiah's up to no good.
And then that's when the last battle fight scene happened.
This is where Ironmonger...
This is why it never could have worked out, because who can say Ironmonger?
Who are you? Ironmonger.
Ironmonger.
All right? We'll just keep calling him Obadiah.
So they have this fight. Of course, Tony Stark ends up winning. He saves the day.
The end of the movie is this, though, and I thought it was just so cool.
But keep in mind, the whole film, he is not the Iron Man character has not officially been
revealed
announced.
or announced
Right.
or anything like that. Nobody knows if it's actually him or not.
Wait a second. Okay, sorry, keep going.
So, final press conference of the movie. He's getting questioned and whatnot by the interviewers and stuff like that. And he's trying to stick to his note cards just so he can like alleviate the situation, kind of move on with his life. But then he has this moment where he is dropped with the question of like, I'm not a superhero or anything like that. And one of the interviewers said, I didn't say that. And he's like, well, I'm not really made out for this, but I have all my flaws and stuff like that. And he really takes a good look at his cards and he's like, I am Iron Man. And it was just so good!
He announces for the very first time in the entire series that he is Iron Man. So that's kind of how the whole Iron Man concept, premise, character comes about. Now, the writer of all the comics,
Stan Lee,
makes an appearance in every single film, which I think is brilliant.
Yes.
Very cool. And if you're getting started with the movies, he makes more subtle appearances in the beginning of the series. And then as the movies go along, he actually has...
It's like inserted in some really funny situations.
And if you do not know who or what Stan Lee looks like, you need to look him up. Because he does make an appearance in every film.
Every film.
It's pretty cool. I love that.
So,
which I feel like is a stamp of approval on his part, saying, yes, I approve of this being a Marvel movie that...
represents my vision.
And my vision, yeah.
So, honey, let's finish this off with an official rating, and we'll do our rating. What do you say, like?
I did write this down, by the way. Rotten Tomatoes gave
okay.
it a 72%.
A 72%?
Yeah. But
we're not Rotten Tomatoes.
How are we rating this? Are we rating this in reference to all the movies within the Marvel series?
I think
within
it should
the Iron Man movies?
I think it should be based upon. Oh man, that's not fair.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
at the very end we could rate.
We should do a rating of all. Yeah, at the end. So for this one, what do you think about doing like a 5-star rating, like 5 being the best?
I would rate it a 4, probably.
You go 4?
4.
I'm going 5. I love Tony Stark. I can't help it.
You can't rate it a 5 just because you love Tony Stark.
No, I love the character of Tony Stark. Iron Man. It's my jam.
So it could have been a shit film and you would have liked it. You would have rated it a 5?
No. There are definitely bad movies out there, but that was not one of them. That was one of the best Iron Man movies I've ever seen.
I will also say that if you have not watched the Marvel movies, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I was not into it at all. I'm not a science fiction person or anything.
So,
What?
Let's close it out.
Yeah, let's close it out.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm JD, and this is XTina.
Okay, anyway. That was for the real podcast.
That was for the real podcast.
I didn't know there was a time limit.
I didn't know there was a time limit either. I saw it, and I hope I got your name.
There's a time limit, 30 minutes. JD and I thought we were only going to be able to talk about this for 10. I was like, honey, no, we're not.
No,
But at least you guys know the reality of, wow, this is why we wanted to talk about this, because this is what happened at our house after we were watching the movies this summer.
Well, we also decided to get into this partly because, one, I wanted to, like, I hinted at it. And also, too, it was just something for us to do. And regardless of how, like, weird or awkward our days got, we always had something to, like, kind of, like, look forward to. Like, hey, you ready to watch the next Marvel movie? Uh-huh.
And now I'm playing Marvel video games. Oh
yep,
my God,
she's playing the Marvel Avengers video game now. So I come home last night, and she is literally sitting on the carpet, staring up at the TV, and she's playing as Hulk, smashing everything.
It's great. It's great. What?
Oh, I was looking at the other camera over there. Anyway.
So this is kind of what we're going to be doing with all the movies. Thank you for joining us for our very first podcast. So JD gives this a 5-star rating. I give this a 4 because I know that there's some that are way better.
Yes. So where those tuning in right now, where can you find our podcast?
Oh my gosh. We've been accepted on 5
different platforms.
5. You can do it on Google Chrome
Podcast,
Google Podcast, and
Anchor.
definitely Anchor, Spotify, and the other 2 I'm not entirely familiar with. But if
Apple Podcast?
no, we have to submit for Apple.
Oh, okay. We will get on.
But anyways, if you have, I know you guys got Spotify, so Spotify it up. We're gonna always tell you exactly when we have the podcast airing, and if you liked seeing the live version, unedited, unfiltered.
All of it.
But anyways, so the next movie is what?
The next movie is... Ooh, hold on.
I want you to know that he usually knows this off the back of his... I was going to say his head, but no. Hand?
I believe we got Iron Man 2.
Really?
Yeah.
In phase order. It's Iron Man. It's not Captain America?
I don't think so. I have to double
We're
check
going to have
because
to
it's
look
got it
on
up there.
Disney Plus.
You put me on the spot, honey. I wasn't ready for it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway. Yes.
Oh, you'll listen on Spotify. Yes.
Mila is one of my amazing friends and family friends on Mirror. So Mila, thanks for joining in too.
Woohoo!
So anyways, thank you all for joining and tuning in to the Marvelous Podcast.
Marvelous Podcast.
With JD and X.
And you know what? On our next Instagram Live that we do together, stay tuned as we'll be doing a nice giveaway.
We will?
Yes. I already got it.
What am I going to get?
Nope.
Just kidding.
Well, me.
I'm playing. Oh my gosh. All right, this is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. It already is. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you all later.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast. We appreciate you so much. That was episode 1. 2. But the first review of the Marvel movies. So if you like the video, be sure to like, save, and subscribe. Comment. Share with your friends. You can catch us on Anchor, Google Podcasts. There are other platforms as well. But first, know that you can find us on Spotify. All right? Check us out there, and we will see you in the next video.
You got it.